Hi all. So I wanted to record a really short video, just kind of so you know what your child is doing or the hopes that they're doing, and so you can kind of hold them accountable yourself and know what they should be doing. So I wanted to really quickly show you our platform, what we use at school, and they should be able to log on to this. Um, so let me share my screen. Okay, so this is what typically you would see them on. Let me go back one. So this is called Clever, and this is kind of like a platform we use every day, and it's kind of like our center of everything, like our brain. And so they would log in with Google. They have a Google account. Everyone has one created, and this is mine, but would be theirs. And so they just click it, or they log in with their email and their password that they use to get on their Chromebooks every morning. And so theirs looks a little bit different than mine, just because mine is the teacher page, but the same thing holds for favorites. They have typing agent, Twig Science. This is not theirs. Code, and then they have a CAS one, or they don't have the CAS one probably because that's the teacher one. Um, and then these are resources that are added by me, that it's Google Drive, Dictionary, Wikipedia, ALL sources. There's science podcasts, Kids Listen, Be Internet Awesome, Interland, Brainsong, ListenWise. ListenWise is great, and we'll start using that a little bit more once we get Chromebooks assigned. News ELA, Quill, and AA Spell. These are the platforms that are not not purchased by our district. Rather, they're kind of some resources that I found throughout the time that we've been working together, and that they typically know how to get on. So Quill, let me open that up. Quill, if they go on there, and someone told me that it was not working the greatest, but Quill is a great website for them to work on grammar. Um, so they should have things assigned to them, and it looks on my part that they do, but some of my kiddos were saying they don't have things assigned to them. But let's say they would go on to Quill, and I will check again to see if everything's working. But if they go on to Quill, they go on to a lesson that's already been assigned for them. In this case, it's compound objects and predicates, and they just work on that skill, and it's just repetitive working on that skill. And it's a great resource for working on grammar. Um, when we talk about NewsELA, NewsELA is simply a platform for them to use to get news daily for kids. So it is like regular news that we get as adults, but it's more tailored for kids. So like this one today says volunteers sew face masks for health workers facing shortages. And what's really cool about NewsELA is that they're also able to do activities, so they can write some questions on those, and then they could also take a quiz on it, and to make sure that they actually read and comprehended what they read. Another thing that I don't see it on mine, but on theirs, um, that they can change the level that they're reading in. So let's say your student is reading at like a sixth, seventh grade level. You can put the Lexile or the reading level for that grade level. But let's say your student is struggling a little bit more. You can also lower the Lexile down to second or third grade level, whatever level they're in, just so you can have control on that. And this is great even if you have littler kids, little ones, for them to use as well. And they're more, if you have your student, they can access any article through NewsELA. Let's go back over here. So then I also put in these links, and you're more than welcome to play with them. They're just podcasts on different topics, like science podcasts, interesting things to listen to, and it's just working on their listening skills. So those are great. Down here, we have our actual district sponsor ones. The first one is McGraw-Hill, which we use for both math and ELA. I don't love our math curriculum. It is very simple, and most of it is based on our textbook, which are rip outs. They're these. So I don't really, I encourage you, if you want to have some extra practice, they can always go on to them. But this is the Wonders, let me show you the student edition. Wonders, just for them to practice the reading. So they can go on here and go on to resources if they just want to listen to stories. So they can click on any of the stories that we've read or we haven't read, and they can listen to stories be read to them, or they can read stories themselves. And this is the student one, so I'm showing you what they would see too.
Introduction.
And so either you can read or they can read to them. So they know they should be able to use this. They use it sometimes. I like to pull a lot and find different resources that they can read that I find more interesting in these. But they're more than welcome to go on to this and kind of look at this. There's level readers. So these are all readers that they are more than welcome to listen to. And then they can also go on to the games. There's writing. Their books. So this is their reading writing workshop, and this is we call this a small anthology, and we call this the big anthology. And these are just literally their textbooks in a digital form. So they're able to go on, and let's say we go up to page 221 to 222. And so they can go on and they can read them or have them read to them, whichever they want to. And then there's Typing Agent. They like it more than I do. We hardly use it. We never use it, actually. But it's just games so they can practice their typing skills. And so there's everyone, and they can go on to them whenever they choose. And then we also have Code, which Code is kind of like practicing how to code things. And they could do that too if they have some downtime or if you want them to get something else going. What else? Okay, we do Prodigy very seldomly. We have basically two online platforms that are recommended by district, or not recommended, but bookmarked by district, Prodigy and Khan. And Khan is awesome. So if at any time you want them to do math, they should be getting on this platform. And this is called Khan. And let me see. I can go and ask a student. So Khan has like all the standards that are covered by grade level. So let's say you have a student in first, second, third, fourth, fifth, all the way to high school to calculus. You can do any level of math on here. And what they do is they can go on to each grade level. If you see right here, it's fifth grade, and it's divided into different sections, and they can work on every section. And what's so cool about this, which I find very neat, is that if you go on to, let's say, decimal interplace, they'll have you watch a video first. Let's see if it lets me. They'll have you watch a video first about the lesson, and then they'll ask you several mastery questions. So this is so let's say your student, is lacking, is having a hard time. When you look at them working on math, they're having a really hard time with decimals. They can watch these videos, and then they can answer the questions, and then they can keep watching the videos until the program says they're mastered on that, and then they can move on to the next. that's for if they want to work in 5th grade level. So some of our kiddos have struggled with math, and so what we also do is we test once a quarter on this test called NWEA, and that places them on their grade level that they're working on math. So sometimes you hear me saying, oh, so according to this art test, they're testing at a 2nd grade or 3rd grade or 4th grade. So whatever grade level, Khan gets their grade level and makes like kind of like a game plan for them. And so so if they go to Map Accelerator and they know the difference between Map Accelerator and course, they can go and they can work on whatever skill they're working on as far as that assessment. And so as you can tell by the purple, I'm just going to go scroll through really fast. You can tell by the purple alarms, there's several kiddos that are working on it, which is great. There's some kiddos that I see no progress with, which means they haven't logged on or anything. So that should be something they're working on if you have access to a Chromebook, an iPad, or some sort of device that they can go on. So that's Khan Academy. And the other program that the district bookmarked is Prodigy. And Prodigy is kind of like a math voyage game where they have this whole, they go on this quest and they are solving math problems as they go out. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I mean, they're more than welcome to do it if you just want them to get some math practice in. But of the two, I would much rather them do Khan because I think it's a lot more conducive to learning than the other one. Okay, so those are the platforms that we're using. And then the most important one that I didn't show you, and most of my kiddos have a bookmark, Classroom. This is what they should be going on. And has all our things that we've been working on. And I try to post the videos on here as well as Google Classroom, as well as Class Dojo, and it also has the ReadWorks, which I didn't show you. But if you go onto the ReadWorks, this is what it looks like. And ReadWorks is awesome as well. It's kind of like the program that I showed you earlier in UCLA. ReadWorks is also kind of a read and answer kind of questions and making sure that you understand what you're reading. And it's science, social studies, ELA, fiction, nonfiction, all kinds of passages. And those are all assigned already as well. And so if I look at my class roster, you would see that there's a lot of kiddos that are not doing that. So if your kiddo is like, I'm done with everything, questions that you can be asking if you want them to be working on something else. Have you finished all your ReadWorks? Have you looked on Quill? And then if they say yes to everything, another good resource is go find articles and tell me about stories that you read on UCLA. And if they're done with everything and you want them to work on something else, I would highly recommend they go on to Khan and work on whatever mastery level they should be working on. Let me know if you have any questions, and hopefully this is helpful, because I realize that that there are parents that we really don't share this very often with you, that you don't really see the interfaces that we work with. But let me know if you have any questions. I'm more than happy to share more information on this, and hopefully this is helpful.